Hey, Kevin, can you just talk about the addition of Antonio Brown and what that's been like in the meeting room in terms of his personality coming in, and then on the field, what it's like with his talent?
Yeah, he obviously a great player. Everyone knows his ability and what he brings to the game. I think that he really did a great job coming in, putting the time in. Really, a lot of extra meetings, extra walkthroughs. Really handled himself extremely well from a mental standpoint. Really came out of the game with one mental error, which 1 week of preparation, I'd say that's pretty solid. The biggest thing that I love about him, a lot of energy. Obviously, he's got a big personality, but he really works at it and spends the time, working on his craft every day. And really, from the moment that he got here, we didn't have time to work with him on the field. He was able to spend some time with the strength coaches, but just the way he approaches the game is what you want in guys.
And Kevin, if I could, a question on Mike Evans. After week one, Bruce Arians said, we need to get Mike Evans 10 targets a game. And that's only happened once, which was against Carolina in week two. And he had a 100-yard game and a key touchdown for you guys. What has been the challenge in getting Mike anywhere close to those 10 targets and getting his production back to the level it was last year where he was a 1,000-yard receiver as he's always been for you guys?
Yeah, Mike is a phenomenal player, a great player. Has done tremendous things since he's been in this league. This is a new team. Obviously, I want all my guys to have 10 catches, 10 targets every game. I want all my guys to have 100 yards and a touchdown. But a new team, a new quarterback. I think that really our approach every day and what I'm communicating to our guys is we got to be ready when the time comes, and we got to focus on the things that we control. There's one football, and Tom does a great job of distributing the football, and I think that we just got to control as receivers. That's really all that we can do is when it does come our way, we make the play. We don't determine whether he throws it to us or not, and so I think that's really our focus as it relates to that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Next question will come from Rick Stroud.
Kevin, along those lines, I mean, how locker rooms are, right? And you've got unselfish guys. We all know that. They want to win first and foremost, and that's a tribute to them and you. Can it be sometimes, when you don't have injuries and everybody's healthy, that you can have too much? That you're trying to do too much for all of them. I got to get this guy involved. I got to get that guy involved. I mean, how does that sort of work? Because they all want to be the guy that makes the play, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, Rick. I mean, I've never met a receiver that doesn't want the football, right? I mean, if they're open, they want to get the football, and so that's every receiver, that's every team. You're going to see that for sure. But I think that our approach, our mindset is if we can have the best 11 on the field, we want the best 11. And I think, again, the way that Tom plays the game and his approach to the game, he's going to spread the ball out. And I think if you actually go back and you look at all of our games, you see that, right? I mean, sometimes it's Mike's week, right? He brought up about, earlier in the year against the Panthers, Mike got a lot of balls, right? Then there was another game, Gronk got a lot of balls. Oakland, Scotty got a lot of balls. So, to me, that's just the way it is, right? I mean, instead of just having one guy and we're just going to feed this guy, my opinion is it actually makes it a little bit more challenging to the defense because, okay, they want to try to take one guy out of the game. All right, well, we got enough guys that are going to step up and make the plays.
Thanks.
Next question will come from Greg Allman.
Hey, Kevin, you guys with the receiver group, I know you haven't dealt with a Vita Vea or an O.J. Howard or a season-ending injury like that, but in terms of the number of days lost to injury, the number of total games lost to injury, I know it was a long first half of the season. You can only do so much to stay healthy, but just want to see how much better this group can be in the second half of the season, these last 7 games, just by being closer to full strength in terms of health.
Yeah, very, very fortunate not to be bit by the bad injuries. We dealt with some things that lingered and a different guy. It almost felt like a different guy every week, right? So I do commend those guys, that had to step up and play. I think that first and foremost, they did a phenomenal job. But obviously, when we're full strength, I think that it brings a different demeanor to the field, a different mindset. And as I said earlier to Rick, I think that it can be challenging for defense, and they got to make decisions how they're going to play us. And when you got guys that can line up and everyone has an opportunity to win and has the ability to win, it can be tough.
Thanks, Coach.
Next question will come from Jenna Lane.
Hey, Coach. A few moments ago, you answered some questions about Antonio Brown, and obviously, there were reports out of Oakland and even out of Pittsburgh about missed meetings and a heavy amount of fines in excess of like $53,000. I just wanted to know your impressions of him as a person and as a teammate, and what you've seen from him so far with your group.
Yeah. My approach with people is really I allow them to determine who they are. So I don't worry about all that stuff from the past, right? I've been with them for 2 weeks. And so really that's what I'm going to make my judgments based off of. And he's done everything that I've asked him to do. We're in communication every day. We talk every morning. We talk all throughout the day. We have extra meetings that we do. And he, like I said, he's done everything that I've asked him to do up to this point.
And as far as Mike Evans goes, again, you can only put the ball in so many places. There's only so many guys you can feed it to. But how much of maybe him and his quieter performances as of late have to do with the fact that, he missed, or he was limited for about 3 weeks with that ankle injury? I know it impacted his ability to cut and things like that. I know Tom relies a lot on reps. How much of it was that versus the fact that he was facing Marshawn Lattimore? He was facing James Bradbury. He was facing some of the better corners in the league.
I think it's a little bit of both. He played through that injury in Chicago. It was obviously bothering him. And then as the weeks went by, he continued to progress and was feeling better, from a physical standpoint. But I do think the reps are important for Tom. This is our first year still in this offense, and he's still, working through that connection with the receivers, and they don't have any issues, right? I mean, I feel like they have a good feel for each other. But going into a week, I think that is important for a quarterback. And then to your second point there, I mean, when you are matched up against the best corners, there's going to be some times that they win also, right? And there's going to be other times that maybe the read doesn't take them there. So it's definitely a mixture of both those things.
Thank you so much.
Next question will come from Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Kevin, this offense has really thrived when Tom's had time to sit back in the pocket and kind of let the routes develop down the field. When he's been pressured this year, things haven't gone so well, as we saw on Sunday. What can the wide receiver group do when there's pressure like that? What adjustments have to be made to have more success?
We have different responsibilities, and that's different than the O-line. So we really just focus on being where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be there. When the ball comes our way, we got to make the play. And those are the things that we focus on as it relates to being a receiver.
And is there anything you've learned about AB that you didn't know before he came in?
He's really a funny guy. Big personality. Always talking. Didn't really know what to expect, but I've definitely seen that. He's a smart guy, sharp guy. You hear about all the stuff, but I think it's been good to see it. I mean, he really works extremely hard. So I think it was kind of more confirming some of those things about him and actually seeing it with my eyes.
Thank you.
We have time for a couple more. Next, we'll go to Rick Stroud.
Kevin, I mean, it's a league of attrition, right? Injuries are just part of it, and these guys go through so much, and they work hard to get back. But when you watch, we've seen Mike try to do it. When you see what Godwin this year has been, whether it's the hamstring or the concussion, and now what he's doing with the finger. I mean, we know he's a tough guy, but put in perspective just what you've seen this guy do to try to play.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. There's not very many guys like him. I was very fortunate to spend time with Larry Fitzgerald, and I feel like Chris and Larry have a lot of those similarities, just as far as their mental toughness, but also ability to push through those things. But it really is remarkable to what he's doing, right? I mean, he had to have that surgery, and you got to catch the ball. You got to use your hand to catch the ball. And when he said he was good to go, I mean, I trust him. So I think that it really is. I mean, there was really maybe only one time during the game that I really saw it affect any part of his game. So I mean, it's tremendous.
Next, we'll go to John Ledyard and then finish with Jenna Lane.
Kevin, you guys have really thrown the vertical ball pretty well this season. Last 2 weeks, so it seemed like it's a little bit off. Focusing specifically on the game against the Saints, it seemed like there were a couple vertical balls, maybe the post wheel. It looked like maybe Chris was looking back shoulder and Brady threw it deep. And he was getting hit, Antonio Brown, when he stopped and the interception happened. Then Scotty Miller stopped on a one-on-one on the outside later. Can you tell us kind of what's going on in those situations? Are the receivers making mistakes? Is Brady making mistakes, or is it just kind of a combination of a bunch of factors? What's happening on those?
Definitely a couple factors in those things. Chris should have been a little bit deeper in his play. Tom did have a little bit of pressure, but Chris should have been a little bit deeper in that situation. Antonio on the sideline there, the safety was getting width. And then the corner was getting depth there. So, he read it a certain way. He's supposed to stay on the go there in that situation. So a little bit of both, right? I mean, the corner's giving him a different look than maybe he anticipated. And then the last one there, I did think that Scotty should have continued to run on that. He was kind of anticipating where the ball was going to be. But those three plays too, there was some pressure. So I think Tom was trying to get out of his hand where, maybe if there was a little bit more time for him, he has an opportunity to maybe react in a different way. But that's football, right? I mean, when we look at that game, we all learn from it. We all have areas that we need to improve, and we have areas in the receiver room that we got to continue to get better at.
And last question will come from Jenna Lane.
Coach, we've had a small sample size of Antonio Brown in your offense, and he's lined up outside, he's lined up inside. I think he even lined up in the backfield. What would you say is his greatest strength, or the area that he can contribute the most towards your receivers group?
Yeah, at 32 years old, I think he's still explosive. I think he still has a tremendous ability to run. I think he's got great quickness. I think he's a phenomenal route runner and catches the ball extremely well. There really hasn't been too much that I haven't seen him not do. I mean, he really can line up in all those places, and we move all of our guys around, right? But yeah, this was the first time we had a receiver in the backfield this season, so he can handle a lot of things.